Hey boys, welcome back to another Bleach Soul video, and today we are going to be talking about the upcoming GQ that will be coming out later today, giving you a guide on what characters you might want to use, and also some of the kind of strategies for the links and stuff that you might want to consider using to make this a lot easier if you can maybe beat it. Now obviously, because this is the hard difficulty of GQ, it does require some transcendence level. It really does. You can't beat this quest with 1 out of 5 characters, or at least characters that are 1 out of 5 without any kind of transcendence leveled up. So by that I mean, if you're using a NAD based character, you want to make sure they at least have level 10 attack. If you're using an SP character, you want to make sure they have at least a level 10 SP slot. The more transcendence that you have into these characters that you might be potentially using, the better. If you have them 2-5, that's great, because then they're going to be getting the guaranteed criticals. You don't necessarily need a character 5-5 unless they're somewhat old and they don't have a high berserker. If you have someone like, for example, this week that we're going to be talking about, the no affiliation week, someone like Noelle should be good enough 2 out of 5, because at that point she already has 80% berserker. But then meanwhile, someone like Mugetsu, who doesn't have any kind of berserker, you probably want to have them 5-5 just to ensure that they can do a decent amount of damage. That being said, though, we are on the BBS simulator just to break down these stuff. Now, one thing I do want to mention, and I will go into it more in depth next week, the Hollow Week, actually we found out right here that they have actually went ahead and nerfed characters with Marauder, Sharpshooter, and the Ignore Resistance skills. As you know, if you had the Ignore Resistance skill, you could be used in multiple weeks of Guild Quest. For example, the 5th anniversary Byakuya could have been used in 4 weeks of GQ. Now, the fact that they aren't actually buffing range attack damage, you could have used him here, and you still can, but he's doing 200% less damage. So do you really want to use him here? That still comes down to you. If you have him max transcended, you might be able to get away with it, but 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, it might be a bit of a yikes. So it's really unfortunate they have done that, but we'll talk about that next week when it does come. So let's talk about this current week, the no affiliation week. Now, the differences in this week compared to the ones that we've been doing in many of the Espada week quests is the fact that the killer damage has now been increased to killer damage times 5. That is normal. They do that every single week. So this means we're going to be able to do more damage, because the killer advantage this time is only 20% and not 40%. In addition to that, the defense for these bosses have also increased, so you do need to keep that in mind. Previously, for the Espada week of GQ, the final boss only had around 3,600 attack. So if you had an attack stat higher than that, you'd be able to do a decent amount of damage. This time, I believe the final boss, which is the Quincy Ichigo, actually has around a 4,000 attack stat, which just means it's going to be a bit harder, especially if you don't have any transcendence into your characters, which for this week only, the only NAD character that you should be using is Misaki. So you want to make sure she has a high as attack stat as possible, because if you don't, you're just going to be doing 1 damage. So you definitely want to make sure you have the equipment onto her, and you definitely want to make sure that you can, well, it's lucky for her she does boost her, so we'll talk about her in a minute, right? So just to keep that in mind, the final boss is actually a tech character, so the best characters for this is definitely going to be a power character. Now, going back to this, obviously, special move damage is actually cut in half. That's going to be like that for every single week, so you don't need the Rocket Tension tie. The main damage that you're going to be doing is from your NAD characters with their NAD string, and your own SP characters with their strong attacks. It also does boost melee damage and range damage, so everyone's basically getting buffed, right? Because there's no resistances. You can bring both melee and range characters. Now, the big thing from this week is the fact that instead of weakening pulls, it's going to be burn pulls. So that means you do want to bring characters that are naturally immune to burn, or just linking characters that make it so you are immune to burn, because burns, if you aren't immune to burn, you're just going to die over time, like very quickly. These characters without burn are not going to last 1 minute when they're constantly losing their HP, so do keep that in mind. You want to definitely make sure that you have accessories or links to make sure that you are immune to burn. That being said, though, lads, let's talk about the characters that you might want to consider using. Now, this right here, just so you're understanding, is just my thought process going into this week. When we actually go into it, it might play completely different, and you will see a video later from me today, hopefully, if I can get it out in time, of what team I will be using to attempt this quest. Now, my no affiliation killers are not the best, so I probably won't be able to beat it, but I'm at least trying to get above 27 million to make sure that I can do my part for my guild. So what you're seeing right now is a list of no affiliation characters, and let's talk about this character right here. In my opinion, the MVP for this week. If you don't have her, you're going to struggle quite a bit, because if you don't know the strategy for the hard GQ, is that you want to have a NAD character with very high stats just to basically get through the first 3 or so bosses very quickly, because you're obviously with strong attacks, you have to wait for the cooldown and stuff like that. With NAD characters, they can just dish out constant damage, and because at least for the first 3 bosses, their defense stat isn't going to be as high, it means NAD characters are definitely going to shine for the first 30 or so seconds, and then when you get to for the 5th boss, then they're going to start slowing down in the DPS, especially if you don't have a high enough attack stat to compensate for their high defense. But lucky for the lads out there that do have this Misaki, she does come with 781 attack, and if you do transcend her, you're going to have a very high attack stat. In addition to that, and if you can actually damage the enemies because you have a high attack stat than their defense stat, then it just means you're going to be doing a lot of damage. She has Flurry, ensuring that she can hit very hard. She also has Bruiser plus 60%, plus the 20% from her normal attack damage assault rate, so she has 80% normal attack damage built into her, very good right there. She also has Poise, so if she does get hit, she isn't going to stagger, and then the main thing about her is that she also has a boost and a shield move, so that shield's going to keep her protected, you protected, and the boost is also going to be increasing your defense, focus, and attack by 33%, so even if you might not have a high enough attack stat to go above the 4,000 that you need to even damage the final boss, with this boost, the 33% increase, it might actually just take you over the 4,000 attack stat to do damage against the final boss, just ensuring that you can actually do a lot of damage. And also for the first 20 seconds of this GQ, you're going to be doing a lot of damage. So this right here is definitely going to be the MVP. She's the only NAD-based character for the No Affiliation week, at least one that has Flurry, that's going to be able to just make your life easier. So if you have her, I definitely recommend putting her on. However, there is one condition, and that's the fact that she obviously isn't immune to burn. Most characters are immune to freeze, and unfortunately there aren't any freeze pulls as burn pulls, so you do want to make sure that you are immune to burn. So to do that, what I'd actually recommend is go down to here, and if you have these two characters, it's definitely going to make your life a lot easier. For example, we want to go for normal attack damage and also fire duration reduction, and you want to make sure you equip these two only characters that have NAD and burn duration. So fire duration minus 55% on both of them, have those two links on it, you're completely immune to burn, and you're also getting 40% normal attack damage. Again, just ensuring that your Misaki can do as much damage as possible. If you don't have them, then you're going to struggle. She's not really going to be able to do a lot of damage. If you only have one of them, I'd recommend putting one on and then use a item, the food item, I'm not sure the exact one, I believe it's the donuts, that will give you that extra percentage, or you can use the spirit core to give you that extra percentage to make sure that you are immune to burn, because I believe you only need an 85% resistance to completely be immune to burn, or any kind of status ailment. The next character we're going to be talking about is the West-North version of Yamamoto. Now, this character, the main thing about this character, obviously besides the fact that he is actually a good character with no affiliation killer, is that he is actually already immune to fire resistance. So if you do lack any kind of links or accessories to make it so you can't be immune to burn, this character is definitely going to be a go-to for most people because he's just naturally immune to it, and that means you don't have to bring any kind of accessories to lower his DPS just to make it so he can actually not take any kind of damage. Very good character right here. What you can do for your main character is actually bring hybrid links, so for example strong attack damage and recharge, and because you shouldn't be taking any damage anyway, you can afford to take the DPS. You can afford to be on 1 HP as long as you aren't going with Senkai's links. If you do bring Senkai's links, you can actually avoid the burn pulls just a tad bit. It's going to be a bit tricky, but that is an option. So for your main character, you don't need to worry about being immune to burn. It's your side lane characters that need to be worrying about that, because they're going to be always in that pool and you can't really do anything about it besides put on accessories or links to make it so they are immune to it. But this Yamamoto is actually a viable option. He obviously does do more damage to burned enemies, so when the final boss does spawn, you can dish out your soul bomb and just do that extra bit of damage because they are going to be burnt for around 5 or so seconds. In addition to that, he also does have this immolator skill, where essentially every like 10 or so seconds he has a 1 or 2% chance to actually inflict a burn, and that could come in clutch. With this hard GQ, you're probably going to be resetting a few times, so eventually maybe you're going to get that one lucky run where this skill right here is actually going to inflict the burn against the final boss, and that's going to allow you to do the extra bit of damage just to make sure you can clear it. Obviously, you're going to need to have some transcendence into him. I would actually recommend at least having him at level 10 SP just to ensure that he can do as much damage as possible. Level 10 focus is also going to help to ensure that he also gets guaranteed criticals. I didn't mention about Misaki, but she has to be level 10 attack. If she's not, she's probably going to end up doing 1 damage against the 4th boss, and you're not really going to be that helpful. After that, we have Noelle. Very good character. She's going to be my go-to character. If you have a 1-5, which isn't ideal, but that's what I have, I'm going to be working with a 1 out of 5 Noelle. She's going to be probably your best character, because if you have her at level 10 SP, she comes with 80% Berserker, and that's just going to allow you to do a lot of sad damage. A lot of damage. And that's the best thing you can do if you don't have any kind of character that's 3-5, 5-5, or even 2-5. But if you do have a level 10 focus slot and SP slot unlocked for this character, she's going to be doing wonders. Now, obviously, the main thing about her is that she has an 80% Berserker. She isn't immune to burn, so you're going to have to put some kind of accessories onto her if you want to as a side lane. But like I said, as a main runner, if you rock kind of hybrid links, you don't need to actually rock any kind of burn resistance because you're not taking damage anyway. And if you do, you're going to reset the app. She's going to be a go-to for a lot of people because she does a lot of damage. The second character we're talking about, or I guess 4th, is the Nini. Nini's a very good character in my opinion. Now, the main reason why you'd want to use her is as a side lane character. That's how I'm going to be using her. I also have her at level 10 SP, so she's also going to be doing a lot of damage, mainly because she does have a 60% berserker. Now her S8s aren't too good for a main runner, but as a side lane it does work quite well. The pushback S8 isn't normally that good, but since it is pushing the enemies back, it will allow you to get some kind of a few seconds to just get your strong attacks back and allow your teammates to stop getting hit. She also comes with the shield, and that allows her to stop taking damage and allows the other teammates to stop taking damage. Their shield only gets 1 hit, but she gets 3, which is more important for her. So I would definitely say if you are going to use Nini, she'd work best as a side lane character, and that's basically the main point. If you have her at level 10 SP, she's going to be able to do a lot of damage. After that, we have Calm for Your Own World Shunsui. Now, this character is going to be the MVP of this week. In fact, he's literally going to be the best character for this. If you have someone like the 1000 Year Blood or 10 Years Later version of Rukia, and you've been using it in the Espada Week of GQ, you can see how well she actually destroys it. Now, even then, you still need Transcendence. You need to make sure this character has level 10 SP. But the reason why he's so good in this week is because, one, he's a power character. The final boss is going to be a technique character, so he already has natural attribute advantage. But the main thing is that he does 40% extra damage to lacerated enemies, on top of already having a 20% berserker. His soul bomb guarantees to inflict laceration. So what you want to do is when you get to the final boss, you use your soul bomb, they're inflicted with laceration, and at that point, if you have your strong attacks ready, you're going to be able to do a lot of nasty damage, and I think he's the go-to character for a lot of people. Unfortunately, I don't have him, so I'm going to have to use someone like Noel, but he's definitely going to be the go-to for a lot of people. I'd recommend using him, especially if you do have him duped out even at level 10 SP. He's going to be the king for this week. Outside of those characters, they are the go-to for me, in my opinion. You can use someone else. Aura might be able to do decent if you have any Transcendence into her. This Torstro is immune to burn naturally, so you can use him as a main lead, but he is a speed character, and the final boss is tech, so I wouldn't really recommend it. The person that's doing the most damage against the final boss is your character, so I would definitely recommend the best, don't bring this character unless you have him max transcended. I wouldn't recommend it. Other characters like the Loopy is going to be decent. I wouldn't recommend bringing Kisuke. Lolly's going to be decent. The more transcendence, the better. This Okura should be pretty good. He does come with a boost on his shield, so he will be a good support, especially if you do like someone like Misaki. And overall, you can just pick and choose, right? Mugetsu would be good, but I definitely recommend bringing him only if you have him max transcended. If you have him 1-5, level 10 SP, he should be able to do a lot of damage. But someone like Noel, who has an 80% berserker, is going to shine more, especially when compared to someone like Mugetsu, who has no berserker at all. So I would definitely recommend bringing someone like these characters at the top who have more berserker if you only have them 1-5. If you only have them 1-5, it's still going to be tough. Now for me, my team, the characters I'm going to be using is Noel as my main lead, Nini as support, and Misaki as support. Will I be able to beat it? Probably not, but if I can get more than 27 million points, it's going to be pretty good for my guild, and it should be good enough to put us onto the map and hopefully keep us in S rank. Now, one thing I want to mention lastly is the links that you can use. So we did mention the normal attack damage and burn duration hybrid links. There's only 2 in the game right now. Those are going to be good for Misaki, but as a side lane character, someone like Nini, for example, where you want to make sure they have recharge, but you want to make sure they are immune to burn, these are going to be the best links possible. So what we're going to do here is recharge, and then also fire duration, and then what you're going to see here are the possible links that you might want to use. So equipping 2 of these links to someone like Nini is going to make, or any other character that's an SP based character on the side, equipping these 2 links is going to make it so they're immune to burn, and it also means that they're getting the recharge to ensure that they even inflict status almost more, they can use more strong attacks, or they can also just infinitely loop the shield if you have a shield activated. I would definitely recommend putting this on someone like Nini if you are bringing her on the side. For me, I'm going to equip this Ichigo, I'm going to equip the Nell onto my Nini, just to ensure that she can be immune to burn and also keep stacking her strong attacks, right? We want to keep pushing the enemy back, we don't want the enemy to attack us, and I want to make sure that shield's always active. For Misaki, obviously I showed it, I'm going to have the 2 burn duration and nad links equipped to her, so she doesn't take any burn damage, but she can also do a lot of nad damage. And then for someone like Noel, who is going to be my main runner, what I'm going to do for her is put on 3 Senka Eisens, and if for some reason I can't actually dodge the burn pulls, and I have to take burn damage, what I'm going to do is take the Senka Eisens off, because I'm not going to be on full stam anymore, I'm going to be losing out on a lot of DPS, and I'm going to put those hybrid links like recharge and strong attack damage, and it just sit comfortably at 1 HP, and I'm just going to get my strong attacks back as fast as possible, and also dish out as much strong attack damage as possible. But even with all that said, it's going to come down to your transcendence level. If you only have the characters 1-5, you're going to struggle quite a bit. If you have the characters 5 out of 5, you're going to breeze through this with ease, and it really comes down to the strategy and character that you're going to be using if you can actually beat this. Again, you don't technically need to beat it. As long as you can score above 27 million, then you're doing good, right? If you can can beat it, even better, that's more points. But as long as you score above 27 million, you're getting more score than people that can't beat it, or even do the similar score, right? So I definitely recommend at least attempting it, trying to get as high a score as possible, and that will be good enough for your guild. And that's only really if you're trying to stay in S rank. If you're only doing it for the rewards, don't stress yourself out and just beat the normal GQ, get the rewards and just call it a day. You don't need to sweat it like most of us are actually trying. That being said, lads, if this video was able to help you out just a tad bit, make sure you show support by liking the video. Comment down below what team you are using and what characters you are going to be taking in for this GQ. But that being said, I'll see you lads in the next one. Peace.